We are in August 2019 in Brazil, in a Spirit Vine Retreat Center. Karel, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Karel. I'm originally from the Czech Republic. I'm currently living in Guyana, South America, a neighboring state, but still far away. And this is my first time here in this retreat.
You had experience before with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
You went to another retreat center in which year?
I went 1 year and 2 months ago to Ecuador to a retreat in the high Andes, and I felt the need to continue my work, to follow on what ayahuasca I started last year. But coming here, I understood that it's not only a follow-up, but actually a whole new start, a different, better, more systemic, more holistic, deeper work on myself. So it was not a mere continuation, but it was a very upgrade.
And you, Miriam?
My name is Miriam. I'm from New York.
No.
I grew up in Israel and moved back to the States about 10 years ago. And I have been searching for something like this probably my whole life. I heard ayahuasca spoken about on 2 podcasts that I listened to. One was Tim Ferriss and the other one was Jonathan Fields, The Good Life Project. And they both had guests on or were describing experiences, and something called to me. Sylvia said, ayahuasca calls to you, and it definitely called to me. And I came out here and found exactly what I was looking for.
So my name is Oliver, and I'm from the northern parts of Sweden. And I think for a couple of years I've always been interested in ayahuasca and trying it, not really knowing what it was really about. But I read up and I saw this center, and it was just something about it. It looked so beautiful. And coming here, it was just such an amazing experience. I got so much more than I had ever expected from this trip.
After every workshop, the group have the opportunity to share what happened. In my opinion, it's interesting because the person is talking, but many times is not realizing what he's saying, while everybody is realizing. So what we need is an interpretation sometimes. Somebody who said, okay, stop there. Do you realize what you just said? No? To think, stop. And in that moment an insight comes. When you are alone, you don't have this resource. And it's very important because your unconscious is talking and you don't realize.
This is the very beauty and the paradox at the same time of ayahuasca retreat. The fact that ayahuasca is a very profound and individual trip, and yet it is a very group dynamic. So although during the nights you are with yourself, the sharing the next day is equally important, and that also brings another reason why I would never drink ayahuasca at home alone, because there would not be the group, the healing through the others that bring you as much probably as yourself to get the insight. It's not only correcting your own interpretation, but it bringing another dimension to yours. And we found here an incredible group of marvelous people whose quest is just beautiful, all of them, although we come from very different backgrounds and countries and jobs and languages, but we have formed a very close-knit group.
You said that you had experience before in another place, and did you have this in this other? You had a group. You
I-
have this
I had a
insights.
I had a group, but it was more than double compared to this one. We were nearly 40, and it was probably too much for me, to my taste. There were too many egos playing and taking ayahuasca as a kind of vehicle for their own glory, which has not happened here at all, and I'm very very thankful for that. So I think also, Sylvia, you have created, as I told you, I feel myself like in an environment close to perfection, and this applies also to the number of participants. That was like 17
17.
is a great, I mean, at least to me, it's not too much, not too little. It felt really the right number to be able to share, to talk, to get the healing. So it is about you that is putting things in the right place. I mean, here every plant, every leaf, every object that has its place, its perfect place. Every timing, every schedule, every interval during the 9 days we have been here has its place, and this is beautiful. So it is really a whole that is composed by so many things that are just perfect.
So or to be in a place where you find organization and order is making you to feel safe.
Exactly, safe. When I was searching for my second retreat, I was viewing your videos, and without knowing you, you gave me the feeling of security and safety, and that was actually also linked to the fact that you are very deep and yet modest, and you're not doing any big fuss about things. You're just keeping them very low profile. Doesn't mean that they are not incredibly high or deep. They are. But I really like this approach. This probably also just resonating with my own person. So that was like instinctively telling me, yes, it will be good for you. And also, as a matter of fact, it must have attracted also the right, in inverted commas, people. Because all the participants here were so different compared to the participants that I had in the other retreat. How come? Well, it's not a coincidence. So you are at the center of the creation of, you attract all this, you shape it, but you also attract. It's both active and passive, and this combination is just mind blowing.
Miriam, you have experience in past life regressions. You work a lot. So what was your experience during this workshop?
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of healing work on my own through spiritual teachers online over the past few years. And so I came in knowing a lot about myself in past lives, but much less about my traumas in this life, because there wasn't any major big trauma in this life that I was aware of. And through it was the second day where I had a tremendous insight about my childhood and what that experience actually was, what my belief systems were as a result of growing up that way, and how it is currently affecting my life now. Mainly how it's limiting me and holding me back and really causing needless suffering. And so having the knowledge of the past lives that I had, it was useful for me to know why I feel certain ways, why certain things trigger me, but there was nothing that I could really do with it. And what I really needed to see was my current life and certain belief systems that I have in this current life that are part of my conditioning from the way that I was raised, that are really keeping me boxed in and limited. My big discovery this trip was really just my own freedom. It's like it was the key to set myself free. And no other type of work that I've done up until now, and I've done a lot, nothing provided that key for me up until this point.
Oliver, what did you discover?
Well, the workshops was amazing, and just the first workshop I discovered a lot about my childhood that I've gotten to the point that I have just pushed away. I didn't even remember a lot of it, and just getting those memories back and dealing with them and seeing that I had these traumas, it was amazing. And then working with that, with those memories, with the ayahuasca, and bouncing ideas and different experience off the group, it was so important. It was.
Can you give us an example of the particular trauma you
Yeah.
remember?
Well, it wasn't me. There was an accident in my family when I was about 6 years old, when my father was mowing the lawn, and my sister slipped under the lawnmower and cut a toe off, and I had almost just forgotten that completely. And now when I went back in the childhood workshop, I realized how much that accident affected me and how much it had affected my behavior during my entire life. During this retreat, I have let go of a lot of anger, irritation, frustration in my life, and it's a lot thanks to that workshop.
Karel, we were having a conversation and we set the goal that in this week you have to find a way to recover your freedom, because mainly you have a very strong control issue.
Yes, I have experienced through the 4 ayahuasca ceremonies very contrasted situations, from pure bliss and love to my own death, and then maybe a kind of catharsis at the end. But the circle was closed only during the last day ayahuasca session, where actually all the pieces of the puzzle came together and formed a perfect circle that I was actually forming by my swimming for 3 hours in the pond as well. And I really wanted to solve the issue of the best balance between trust and control. And actually I completely eliminated control, and trust took it over. And this is so liberating, because in the last, well, since ever probably, I've been just applying control and no trust to myself, to my partners, to my children, and they were all paying a high price, including me. That probably also materialized like 2 weeks ago, just before coming here. I broke up after 10 years of marriage. And I am now feeling what was actually lifted, what burden was lifted from me, and how free I can start to develop my new life. So although I may have come with some other like pretexts or tokens that I thought they were the problems, but I would not have identified myself actually that as a center of the resolution of my conflict, if I can say. You brought it up, and I understood, yes, that was it. So it was not only about the healing, but also about the identification of it. So I'm very, very thankful, and I really hope this is maybe a message to my partner, that I will apply all that as of next week when I will be back to my normal life. But this life is not going to be normal, I hope, in a good sense. Thank you.